You see, one of the primary reasons a woman might want you but stay silent about it is because of the profound fear of rejection, this deep, almost primal vulnerability that comes with expressing desire. Now, it's easy to dismiss that fear, especially if you've been on the receiving end and thought, well, if she likes me, why not just say it, but it's not that simple, and it never has been. For many women, putting themselves out there romantically isn't just a matter of taking a risk. It's about exposing a deeply held part of themselves. And if that gets rejected, it doesn't just sting. It shakes the foundations of how they see their worth, their attractiveness, even their identity. You need to understand, when a woman decides to make her feelings known, she's not just expressing interest. She's placing her self-image, her emotional security, and often her sense of dignity on the line. That's no small thing. It's not just about you, it's about what that vulnerability represents to her. It's a moment that says, this is me unguarded. I've chosen to show you this part of myself I usually protect. And if that moment isn't met with safety, it can echo in her psyche for a long time. We live in a time where everyone talks about equality and empowerment, and rightly so. But even with all that progress, women are still operating within a social landscape that punishes them, subtly or overtly, for being too assertive in their desire. They're told to be independent but not too forward, confident but not aggressive, interested but never needy. It's a delicate, almost impossible balance. So when a woman wants to tell you how she feels, she's not just overcoming her personal fears. She's also pushing against years, maybe even generations, of conditioning that tells her it's not her place to make the first move, and so, even if she wants you deeply, sincerely, she might wait. She might hope you'll notice the subtle cues, the lingering glances, the extra attention. She might choose silence over the potential of humiliation, because silence at least keeps her safe. At least in silence, her dignity remains intact. Now, from your side, that silence can be maddening. You might misread it as disinterest. You might think, well, she clearly doesn't care, and then walk away, but in truth, she may care too much, so much so that the idea of being dismissed by you feels unbearable. It's not a lack of confidence, it's that the stakes are simply too high in her mind. She's not afraid because she's weak. She's afraid because this matters, and here's the paradox. The more she values you, the harder it becomes to say it. The fear grows in proportion to her desire. That's something worth understanding, worth holding with a bit of grace. Because sometimes what looks like indifference is really a fortress built around something very fragile, something that's just waiting, hoping even for a signal that it's safe to come out. That's the truth most men don't see. And if you can recognize that vulnerability for what it is, not weakness, but courage waiting for permission, then you might just see her for who she really is. And in doing so, you give her the one thing she needs to say what's been on her heart all along. That's when everything begins to change. There's something deeper at work here, something older than either of us, older than this conversation. It's not just that a woman is scared to say she wants you. It's that she's been taught over and over again in countless subtle ways that she shouldn't and that teaching runs so deep, so quietly and consistently reinforced that she might not even question it. From a young age, many women are conditioned to believe that expressing romantic or sexual interest openly isn't just bold. It's dangerous, it's unattractive, it's unbecoming. So she learns to hold back, not because she doesn't feel the desire, but because she's been taught to package it, repress it, even doubt it. Think about that. Generations of messaging, through stories, through social rules, through the way men and women are expected to interact, have communicated to her that it's the man who pursues and the woman who responds. And while we like to think we've moved past those roles, the psychological residue is still there. It lives on in hesitation, in the sideways glances, in the almost, sent texts that get deleted before they are sent. She's carrying all of that, not just her own hesitation, but the echo of 1,000 voices telling her that a woman who initiates desire risks being seen as desperate or loose or unworthy of long-term love. Now, is that fair? Of course not. But fairness doesn't erase conditioning. It doesn't erase the fact that for many women, their whole lives they've been quietly taught that their value is tied to being chosen not to choosing. So when she finds herself wanting to reach out to you, to say something, to express what she feels, there's a war happening inside. One part of her wants to step forward, to take control of her own story. But the other part, the one shaped by decades of quiet cultural training, tells her that doing so makes her less desirable, that it's not feminine, that it's too much, and there's the irony. We say we want honesty. We say we want directness, but when a woman is assertive in her desire, how is she received? Too often, people question her intentions. They wonder, why is she being so forward? Or assume she's playing games, or worse, label her as someone who can't be trusted with emotional depth. So she learns to pull back. She learns to wait. She might even pretend not to feel anything at all, because that seems safer than being misunderstood. What this means, practically, is that you might be standing across from a woman who wants you more than you can imagine, and she'll never tell you. Not because she's shy, and not because she lacks courage, but because she's been taught that her desire is something that must be carefully curated, hidden beneath layers of behavior that appear passive, elusive, feminine. And that's a tragedy. Because it's not just her that loses out in that moment. You lose too. You miss the chance to see someone in their full honesty, their full willingness, their full presence. So don't mistake silence for disinterest. Don't confuse cultural caution with emotional absence. There may be an entire internal struggle behind her quiet eyes, one that has nothing to do with you and everything to do with what she's been told about herself, her role, and her worth. And if you can understand that, truly understand it, you may just begin to see what's been there the whole time, waiting for the space to be seen. That changes the whole dynamic. There's another layer to this that often goes unspoken, and it's subtle, but absolutely crucial to understand. When a woman wants you but doesn't say it, it's not always just about fear of rejection or social norms. Sometimes it's because she doesn't trust how her intentions will be interpreted. She might worry that if she says what she feels, clearly, directly, it won't be received with respect or understanding. Instead, it'll be twisted, reduced, misunderstood. And that fear, the fear of being misread, is powerful enough to keep even the boldest hearts quiet. You see, many women walk around with this quiet calculation happening in the back of their minds. They wonder, if I say I'm interested, will he think I'm desperate? If I'm affectionate, will he assume I'm easy? If I compliment him, will he start playing games? And these questions aren't hypothetical. They're grounded in real experiences, moments when sincerity was punished, when openness was mistaken for weakness, when a simple expression of affection was used as leverage or met with mockery. That kind of feedback teaches people to retreat, to shield their intentions, to bury them beneath layers of ambiguity. This is where so much tension builds. A woman who wants to be seen for who she truly is, emotionally available, open-hearted, genuine, finds herself in a position where showing that could backfire. She's constantly forced to ask herself how much of herself it's safe to reveal. And the cost of misreading the moment is high. If she says too much too soon, if she's too warm, too forward, too available, there's a risk that you might not take her seriously. That instead of appreciating her honesty, you'll put her in a box, dismiss her as a passing thrill instead of a lasting presence, and so silence becomes strategy, distance becomes defense. She holds back, not because she doesn't feel deeply, but because she doesn't want her depth to be handled carelessly, Because the truth is, when someone really sees you, when they look at you and say, I want you, without masks or manipulation, they're not trying to control the outcome. They are showing you their center, and that deserves reverence. It deserves to be received with clarity and respect. But not everyone gives that, and she knows it. She's likely seen it before, times when her sincerity was treated as a tool rather than a gift. So now, instead of speaking freely, she tiptoes. She waits for the exact right moment. She guesses. She watches for signs. She wonders if you'll respect her or reduce her. Because the moment she speaks, she's opening the door not just to connection, but to judgment. To being miscast in a role she never auditioned for. That's the risk, and that risk often outweighs the longing. It's worth asking yourself, how do you respond to vulnerability? How do you receive someone's genuine affection when it's handed to you without conditions, without strategy, without a game? Do you welcome it, or do you instinctively pull away, protect your own ego, see it as too much, too fast? Because how you receive that expression might determine whether it ever gets spoken in the first place. So don't assume that just because a woman hasn't said what she feels, she doesn't feel it. She might be waiting to know whether she's safe from being misunderstood, safe from being diminished into a caricature of something she's not. If you want her truth, you need to prove it can land somewhere it won't be twisted, somewhere it will be honored. That's when the silence starts to break. There's something we often overlook when we wonder why someone won't just speak up and say how they feel, and that's the past, the weight of what's already happened. See, for many women, the hesitation to express desire isn't just about what might go wrong. It's about what already has. You don't just walk into a moment like that fresh, unburdened. You carry things. We all do, but for women in particular, emotional openness has often come at a cost. Think about it. How many times has a woman laid her heart on the line only to be met with indifference, manipulation, betrayal? It might have been in high school when she first fell for someone and was laughed at for being too clingy. Or maybe later, when she tried to be honest with someone who just wanted to use her attention to inflate his ego. These experiences leave marks. They teach you, and the lesson, even if it's not fair, is this: don't be the first to care too much. Don't say what you feel. Don't give them that power. And here's where it gets especially painful, because the women who feel the most deeply, the ones who genuinely care, who have that rare ability to connect with honesty, they are often the ones who get hurt the worst. Not because they're naive, but because they refused to be numb. They showed up, they trusted, they believed in the value of their own emotion, and that vulnerability got punished, maybe not every time, but enough times so when you come along, maybe you're sincere, maybe you're actually the kind of man who would understand. She doesn't know that yet. She's still looking through the lens of what's happened before. And that lens distorts things. She might want you more than she can say. She might feel a pull toward you that's real and raw and overwhelming. But the past steps in like a shadow, whispering, don't do it again. Don't make the same mistake. Don't get hurt for being honest. And this is where compassion becomes essential. Because if you're not aware of that inner struggle, you might misread her. You might think, she's playing games, she's just not interested, but in reality, she could be doing everything in her power just to not show how much she cares. That's not manipulation. That's trauma management. That's her trying to protect the part of herself that's still healing. And healing doesn't move on a schedule. It's not logical. It's not even always visible. It lives in the nervous system, in the subconscious. It lives in those moments when she wants to reach out, but her fingers won't type the message. It lives in the silence after she sees you smile and wonders, what if he's just like the last one? That's not weakness. That's someone carrying the cost of being open in a world that hasn't always been kind to it. So if you're truly interested, if you sense there's something there, and you wonder why she won't just say it, consider this. Maybe it's not about you at all. Maybe she's still trying to figure out if it's finally safe. If you're someone who will listen without turning her honesty into leverage, if you're someone who will treat her openness not as opportunity to take, but as something sacred. Because when someone's been hurt by the very thing they most wanted to give, they won't offer it again easily. They'll wait, they'll test, they'll protect themselves, until something convinces them it's different this time. That's what you're up against, and that's what you have to earn. Sometimes the silence isn't about fear of rejection, or confusion, or even past pain. Sometimes it's about preservation of something that already exists. It's about the potential cost of disrupting a connection that feels too valuable to risk. You might be friends, you might work together, you might share the same circle. And in those cases, a woman who wants you might stay quiet, not because she doesn't care, but because she cares too much about what's already in place. It's a strange dilemma. On the one hand, there's this longing, the emotional pull, the quiet hope, the moments where everything in her wants to reach out and cross that invisible line. But on the other hand, there's the question, what happens if I say it, and he doesn't feel the same? What happens to what we have, that question haunts people. It keeps them up at night, because once that line is crossed, things don't usually go back to how they were. There's an innocence that's lost. A shift in dynamic, a kind of tension that can't be fully undone, and so many women sit with the weight of that uncertainty. She might laugh with you, text you, confide in you, make memories with you, and still hold back the most important truth. Because saying it would mean risking all of that. It would mean risking and that risk, for some, is just too much. You become a fixture in her life, someone who brings comfort, stability, maybe even joy. And to endanger that by introducing romantic feelings, it's not a choice taken lightly. Now some might say, well, if she really wanted something more, she'd go for it. But that ignores the complexity of human attachment. That logic assumes emotions are simple, transactional, clean. They're not. Real connection is messy. It involves trade-offs. And when someone values what they already have with you, they may decide, consciously or unconsciously, that it's better to live with the ache of unspoken desire than with the fallout of saying the wrong thing at the wrong time. And there's another element here to responsibility. She might not just be thinking about how this affects her, but how it affects how it affects the group, the workspace, the friendship. She might worry that by confessing her feelings, she's putting you in an uncomfortable position. That you'll feel pressured to respond a certain way, that you'll pull away not out of malice, but just because you don't know how to navigate it. So rather than risk that awkwardness, that ripple effect, she holds her tongue. That's an act of restraint that often goes unacknowledged. It's not cowardice, it's not manipulation, it's a choice grounded in consideration. She's choosing to protect something real, even if it means sacrificing what she hopes it could become. That's not an easy decision, that's a quiet kind of heartbreak. So when you sense that something's there, but it's unspoken, unresolved, hovering, you might be right. You might be picking up on a truth that's being held back, not because it's weak, but because it's sacred. Because the foundation means so much to her, she'd rather keep it intact than gamble it all on a moment of vulnerability. And if you're wondering why she doesn't say what she feels, maybe ask yourself this. How much does your presence in her life already matter? Because sometimes silence isn't absence. Sometimes it's preservation, and that silence can speak volumes if you're willing to listen. There's one final piece to this puzzle, and it might be the most frustrating for both of you. Sometimes a woman doesn't say what she feels, not because she's afraid or unsure or wounded, but because she's waiting for waiting for you to lead, waiting for you to create the space where it feels safe and worthwhile to express what's been sitting quietly beneath the surface. And this isn't about playing games or testing you. It's about alignment with something deeper. something built into the dynamic between masculine and feminine energy, where leadership, initiation, and emotional safety all intertwine. Now, to understand this, you have to let go of the idea that waiting means passivity. It doesn't, not here. In many cases, she already knows what she feels. She's already imagined the conversation. She's already pictured how she'd say it, how you might respond, what might unfold afterward. But she holds it back, not because the desire isn't real, but because she needs to see how you carry yourself first. Are you intentional? Are you clear? Are you capable of holding not just her interest, but her emotion? She wants to know that before she steps forward, because if you hesitate, if you waffle, if you stay vague or indirect, it sends a message that you might not be ready to receive her truth with strength. And that readiness, on your part, is everything, because desire isn't just something she wants to express. It's something she wants to offer to someone who can contain it. Someone who won't shrink from it, won't weaponize it, won't get lost in it. Someone who can actually hold space for it, and that's why she waits, not because she's testing you like some manipulative script. No, it's much more grounded than that. She's watching how you move through the world, how you speak, how you lead conversations, how you carry yourself around her, and whether you're emotionally grounded enough to step forward first. Not just with confidence, but with clarity, because clarity is safety. And without safety, real intimacy doesn't happen, not emotionally, not spiritually, not in a way that sustains anything meaningful. So you might think, why doesn't she just tell me, but from her side, she's thinking, why hasn't he made it clear that I can, that's the gap. And unless one of you crosses it with intention, nothing ever happens. Two people can feel everything and still walk away with nothing, because no one wanted to be the first to act from a place of maturity and responsibility. And that responsibility often rests with the man, not because women are incapable of initiating, but because many are waiting for a sign that you're not going to turn this into a game, that you're not going to disappear once she opens up, that you're not going to panic the moment her affection becomes real. She's waiting for you to make the space where her vulnerability won't be exploited but cherished. That's what leadership looks like. Not dominance, not control, but the willingness to go first when it's uncomfortable. To bring order to uncertainty, to speak clearly into what's ambiguous, to provide direction when everything feels undefined. Because when you do that, you don't just invite her feelings forward, you unlock them. You open the door she was already standing behind, just waiting for it to move, and you show her, without forcing a thing, that it's finally okay to say what's been there all along. That's when everything begins to shift.